Right, so take 2 on Friday. Oh dear, I spoke too soon earlier, didn't I? Okay. So, hopefully, we are back where we should be. Hi Tracy. Oh dear, what a nightmare this is today. Okay, fingers crossed we're still there and running. We'll soon find out. Okay. Right, let's give this a go. So, this is the card that we are creating with Queens and Lace as being the stamp set that we're going to use. I've got this panel here ready to stamp the stalks in Early Espresso, and then I'm going to stamp in Versamark and add some white embossing powder to the leaves to create that effect. I'm also going to add a sentiment with white embossing as well. On the version that we're doing now, I've also added this crumb cake layer, which has been embossed and had the corners punched out. So let's get cracking before we lose it again. Thanks, Tracy. Okay, so this card, as I said, was designed by committee. Tracy had a hand in it, so thank you, Tracy, who's joined us, along with some other team members. Let me just wipe that down. Okay, so let's give this a go. I'm keeping an eye out in the corner to see if we're still live. So this is the stalk and the outline of the flowers going in, and I can see that I'm maybe a little bit too close to that. I can see the ink is still on the flowers, so I'm just going to press those down. I have got the foam mat underneath here. There we go. So there is our outline. Let's bring this out of the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this and with my sentiment is I'm going to stamp them in Versamark and use our white embossing powder to emboss the flowers and the sentiment. So a Versamark ink pad is a clear ink that you can use for creating a watermark, but it's perfect for heat embossing because it stays sticky and wet for quite a long time. So I'm going to do the flowers first, which is this stamp here, and that does all of those in one go. This is the Versamark ink, and I'm going to use an embossing buddy across the card so that any bits of static or loose powder don't stay onto the on the card itself. So I'm just going to dab here. Okay, I'm just doing it very gingerly and not rubbing it because of the ink. Just don't want to make that run if it's still slightly damp. Okay, so this is going to be our layer. So here's the Versamark ink. So I'm going to ink this up. Now I could put this on the Stamparatus as well, and I could have just stamped that without using the Stamparatus, to be honest. But if you're doing a multiple of these this design, then I would set it up on the Stamparatus, and then it would save you a lot of time and effort. Okay, So I'm just positioning this roughly where those flowers are. It's quite difficult to see in this light. If I've got them roughly there. It's also quite difficult on a darker piece of card. But fingers crossed. There we go. Yep, I'm happy with that. So you can see where that has been. And then I'm going to ink up Hello Friend and stamp that as well. Just want to stamp that off first to make sure it's nice and sticky, and then I'm going to add the embossing powder. Like so. There we are. Let's cover that up. So I've got white embossing powder for this, and I pop my powder into a container. But what you don't want to do is leave it in a container for too long, because there's the air will get to the powder and it will make it go stale over a period of time. So really what you'll need to do is put it into a container and then put it back into your small pot when you've finished. I can see it's got a bit of dimensional stuck in there. That's really not going to help it, is it? Okay, so here's our powder going on, and then I'm just going to pop it on that sentiment. Okay, I'm going to tap it from the back fairly forcefully. This was my test, which I did on the reverse, just to make sure it was all going to fit. Okay, so there is my design. Okay. Let me pop the lid on there, and then I'm going to heat emboss it with my heat gun, like so. Looks like it's just, oh no, it's not just you and me, Tracy. There's nobody else that said hello, so I can't see who's there. So if you are live and want to say hello, please do so. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for the heat gun to warm up. You don't want to apply the heat gun too soon to your card if it's not warm. It's not going to do any good. Okay, and then hopefully you'll see this change in the light. There we are, you can see that changing. You can see the difference. So as it heats up, you'll see it go brighter. Just move the heat gun across. Like so. Same on the sentiment. I'm going to turn it around because it's getting a bit hot on my fingers. There we are. There we have it. So I've got my white embossed on top and Hello Friend. This is going to go onto this layer here, which has been dry embossed, and I've punched the corners out and rounded the corners. Okay, so that's going to go onto that layer, and the whole thing is going to go onto a white note card. So let me do those layers. I'm going to pop this layer down first, and I'm just going to put that one flat. So you can use your glue of choice for this, whichever you prefer. This is our seal. Just going to put a little bit at the top and at the bottom like that. Actually, as it's embossed, I am going to do down the sides just to make sure it sticks really well. So I'm just going to centre that on my note card, like so. Press that down so it's got a good seal. And then this one here I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. There we go. Ah, thanks Carol with an E, that's fine. So just going to dot these around, and I've cut this one out with our celebrations framelets, our dies. As I say, you will need a die cutting machine for those, but they're a very useful die. There we go, let's pop that on. Oops. Let's get all of those done and pop it on there. So just really doing it by eye to get that centered all the way around. Okay, I'm going to add the stalk onto the envelope and also to the inside of the card. And then I'm going to add some of these little white gems as well. So let's bring this back out. Thanks Carol. As I said, this was a setup by actually I might just stamp this. This was a team effort yesterday. So we have a team get together every Thursday night. And so I said I wanted to do some embossing. So between us, we came up with that design. These are the celebrations framelets. Obviously I've got the one on in the middle there. So you get 5 of these. And what's really nice is they're easy to fold in half. So I've got one here. Well, I've got this one here that I've actually turned into a card. And in fact, we have this version here. So all I've done is taken the die and placed it on my card, but with the edge over the edge of here. Let me get you the right size so you might see this. So you can make any card blank from this. So this is how it would go on your folded piece of card. And then just make sure that the one edge where it cuts comes off the end. You could easily do this on the top as well by having this top edge further down from the edge of the card. Okay, so they're called celebrations framelets, and they're perfect for little toppers as well. Okay, let's stamp this onto our card. I'm looking for the grid paper, and we're still live. Let's hope yet. Right, let's just pop that down and use that. And I'm just going to use this one. Let's see if it'll fit on. Not quite. Let me just get a larger block. So I'm going to use this one here, which is block I, like so. And I found if you've got a big block like that, don't try and position it like that. Always turn the whole project on its side, because it's much easier designed to be held like that, okay, than try and do it like that. Well, it is for my hands, let's put it that way. So here is our envelope. So what I'm going to do is stamp it like so, just off to the left hand side. I'm going to ink it up with early espresso. Are the dies still available? They are indeed. I will grab the page number, or Tracy might be able to do that for me if she's there. They're in the how do you think what they go with? They might actually be in the autumn winter catalogue. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp this perhaps just at an angle across the corner like so. Actually, I can give you the number. There we go. Nearly got that in the ink. They are called Celebration Labels, and they've got these extra little dies as well. And the number, if you want it, Carol, is 153570, and obviously you can put layers together to get really useful frames. Okay, so that's our envelope. Let's just pop one of these on the inside as well. Just going to make sure that that's not wet with any current ink, only from earlier in the week. There we go. Put this one away. Just add that on the right hand side like so, and our card is done. There we go. So that's our inside, that's our outside. So this size here is the third one up. Okay, but they're just useful in their own right anyway. Hello Verity, how are you? Oh, well done. You found them. Christmas, yes, thank you. The Christmas catalogue, and yes, they're 33. Really, as I say, they are really useful, and as I say, you can use them to make full-sized cards. So this one is from the largest one. Okay, and that will still fit in our standard envelope. This is a standard envelope size here, and that will fit. I've cut this edge off a little bit because there's a little hoop here, but you could have it with the dip in if you wanted to. So I would definitely recommend those on your next demo order. I'm a good enabler, Carol. So there we go, that is today's project. So using Queen Anne's lace with a little bit of heat embossing with white powder. This is on a note card and envelope, and this is one that we created yesterday on a larger standard C6 envelope. This one with Highland Heather, and then this one with Blushing Bride. So quite a different look, but I do rather like the white. I did try it in gold, but the gold just didn't stand out enough on the Mossy Meadow. It might have stood out on a lighter coloured card. Silver might have been better, but I do rather like the white of that. Okay, let me just catch up on in comments. Oh, thanks ladies for looking after each other. And oh yeah, sorry Carol, can't help it, you know, I just can't help it. So thank you so much for joining me on Friday. So 5 o'clock will be my new time on Friday instead of 3 o'clock. It seems to suit a few people better. So I will update my Facebook page header with the new time. I will be back on Monday at 10 AM for those that can join me live. This video will obviously get uploaded to YouTube shortly. Only the second part, so the first part I won't bother because it was only really going over what we were looking at. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your company. I hope you have a nice weekend and that you get some crafting in if that is your wish. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Look after yourselves, each other. Stay safe, and I hope you keep crafting. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.